There was a lot of mixed reaction when Cadillac came out with the ELR into the marketplace. A lot of it was that it's beautiful. It's cool that they're taking their Volt platform and evolving it for a luxury vehicle. Most of the feedback came from the price. So today here on Rumblestrip.NET and 10-minute test drive, we're going to find out if the Cadillac ELR is a cool car but overpriced, or just a cool car. So the immediate reaction from at least the general press, automotive press, and even some of the general public when Cadillac announced the pricing of the LR was, are you kidding me, with a few expletives deleted from that, right? And that's a bit understandable because right off the bat, this car is a big ask at $76,000. No two ways about it. But and most of it is like, oh, you could buy a Volt for less than 40 grand. How is it different than a Volt? Well, how is it different than a Volt? Not completely, but significantly different. Number one, styling. I mean, when Cadillac does a coupe lately, they knock it out of the park. And this is certainly another knock it out of the park design. The ELR is fabulous to look at from any angle. We've had this for a week. We're filming this just before we turn it back in. And every day we drive it, 2 or 3 people waving at us, giving us thumbs up, asking us to roll down the windows and asking us questions about it because it's such a cool car. It's a great looking car. And then when you tell them what it is, like, oh wow, yeah, that's cool. Of course, most of them would freak out if they heard the price, but that's beside the point, at least for this part of the review. Styling knocks it out of the park. How about the interior? It's really good. I would say it's probably up to Lexus quality interiors, and that's a good thing. Is it quite at Audi levels? Maybe not, but maybe with some different colors in the interior, that would help a lot. The one that we have here is all black, and we would like a little lighter colors in here, but that's a personal preference thing. But multiple fabrics, lots of Alcantara in here, and it really makes for a nice cabin in here. There's Alcantara on the doors. The entire ceiling here is Alcantara. The leather is good. It could be a little more supple for some of the interior pieces here, but it's nice. There's good padding in here. There's nice stitching in it. The wood applique looks nice. Is it real wood in there? Well, you know how that goes. And some carbon fiber trim in here as well. So overall, the cabin is a very, very nice place. It's quiet. Right now we are running strictly on electric power, so the only noise you really hear is the tires on the road, and part of that is because the roads suck, okay? So that's why you're getting a lot of that noise transference. But just driving down the road in pure electric, it's been really good. It's a nice place to be. Seats are very comfortable. We've driven it, for a couple hours and not had a problem. If we're going to ding it on one thing in the interior, yes, the seats are heated, but not cooled, and in a $76,000 car, you really should have cooled seats. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Plus, having cooled seats also takes a load off the air conditioning, and that again takes a little bit of a load off the electrical system, so you could help out with the range a little bit on that. Speaking of range, on the electrical range, 35 to 40 miles is what Cadillac and General Motors say you should get, and that's pretty good. We've been getting about 37 pretty consistently. We've ran the battery down 3 different times, and I think once we got 49, once 34, but we were hammering it pretty hard, and then I think this last one we got 37 miles on the charge. So it's a lot of fun. It's really good to drive. In pure electric, if you're from a dead stop and you hammer it, it takes a second before it seems to spool up a little bit, and that's a relative term. But this is a heavy car, so that it's taking all that torque and getting it moving. Rolling, let's say from 5-10 miles an hour, and then you hammer the throttle, this thing moves very quickly. So, and that's just on pure electric. Now when you add the gas motor in there, that helps a little bit for that as well. Your driving dynamics are pretty good for a 4,000-pound car. You do feel that weight on occasion, but it's not bad. There's some side-to-side movement, lane changing. It's a little ponderous at times, but not obnoxiously so. It just feels like a big luxury car. Now, as we wave at the cops as we drive by here, they're trying to catch some speeders as they head off to lunch. But in general, it's not bad. We wish, again, and this goes to the pricing, that Cadillac would put the magnetic ride shocks in here, because there are times when there is a little bit of harshness that comes through the chassis. Now, again, some of that is the weight, some of it is the base chassis this comes off of, and we think that with the magnetic ride suspension, that could make a huge difference in this. Is it a deal killer? No, but again, when we're talking at this level of pricing, we're just trying to find some ways to justify it. So that gets to the price. And we'll circle back around on a couple other things, but let's again talk about the price. Is $76,000 too much for this car? Maybe. And you can say, well, what about Tesla? And that's sort of the car that's not directly competing to it, but it's in the ballpark. If this car were $65,000 instead of $75,000, for us it'd be a bit of a no-brainer. It'd be, yes, you should go buy this if you want a luxury plug-in hybrid car. Wouldn't even think twice about it. The interior is that good. Exterior styling, a lot of the convenience factors. It's that good. Where at 65 grand, it's kind of like, yeah, go buy this thing. At 75 grand, yes, you're like, well, So let's talk about Tesla for a second here. In that, if you're going to buy a Tesla or lease a Tesla, you're looking at a vehicle that is going to be, anywhere between $8,000 and $20,000 more expensive. It's 4 doors, it carries more people, yes. But then you get to the range. If you go for the 85 kilowatt one, you have a range of about 260 miles. You may or may not have supercharger stations in your area. Where those supercharger stations are may or may not be convenient. If you can charge at home, great. If you can charge at your workplace, great. The advantage that this has is that, yes, you'll go 35 or 40 miles in electric, but then you can go another, say, 250 on gasoline power. So you have that flexibility. And where you can plug it in at home or whatever, great. And if you can't, fine. There's a gas station on every corner. That is the advantage, and it costs less. And Tesla, while having a lot of hype, if you look at sort of the long-term reliability since it's come out with the Model S, it's a little bit shaky. That's not well known, but if you read into some of the Consumer Reports stuff about it, who puts the miles and some time into it, it seems like they're always having an issue with it. Now, that's not to say GM is not going to have its own issues, but you can find a GM dealership to get things fixed without too many problems. The Cadillac dealership, there's a lot of them. So, you have some of that in there as well. having not driven the Tesla yet, I can't say exactly how they compare in driving. Everyone who has driven a Tesla seems to love it. It's supposed to be a fantastic car. Hopefully one day we'll get to drive one and we can say for sure. But there are a lot of advantages that this does have over the Tesla in just general everyday convenience. Now you don't have the cool factor, because when people say you have a Tesla, oh, you have a Tesla. When you say you have a Cadillac ELR, people go, huh? But that's fine. So this has the Cadillac Q system in it, and if we have one mission for Johan de Nysschen, now that he has taken over Cadillac, please fix this damn thing. I mean, you can use it, but just a lot of the touch stuff in here, it's a little bit kludgy. Not a big fan of the Q. I don't know that of anyone who really is a big fan of the Q system. You know, all the stuff that's in there, great. It just needs to be redone so that it works better. It's also a little bit laggy and a little slow to boot up in the morning, or anytime you get into it. So it does have some issues. It needs better processing. That's fine. This does have several modes to drive in. You have your electric, you have sporty electric, which gives us a little better throttle response and things like that. You have mountain, for obviously when you're driving the mountain. And then you have touring mode, which uses the gasoline motor as well as electric. One of the other things is this has the paddle shifters in it, and what those paddle shifters are for is so that when you're coming to slow down, you hit those and it helps with the regen, and it dumps more power back into the battery. And you're like, well, does that really make a difference? And the answer is yes. We drove the other day for like 7 miles in a quick trip to the grocery store and used that, and didn't use 7 miles of electric power. We used like 2.5 or 3. Now, granted, the EV range is always a bit of a guess, and you know, did we actually put that much power back into it? Probably not. But you know, if you use it, you will put some energy back into the battery, and any little bit helps. Also, if you leave it in L versus D, in D, when you come off the accelerator pedal, it's not called the gas pedal, but it's the accelerator pedal, it glides pretty freely. If you put it in L, it again goes into a regen much quicker and helps to dump more energy back into the battery to give you more battery life. So to wrap up, Cadillac ELR, do we like it? Yes. Very cool car, drives well, looks fantastic. Interior is quite good. At 75 grand, is it worth the price? Yeah, it's probably a little overpriced, but given that Cadillac's not selling a lot of them, you could probably get a pretty good deal on one. So, would we recommend it? Yes, but at a better price.